Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malifaux and Game 3 of the English GT Tournament 2017. And McMorning finds himself facing off against Ramos in an interference match. I thought the terrain for this table was pretty cool until I started playing on it. And you'll see it better when we pan out, but this is pretty much everything that's going for it on it. So we've got forests, little forests dotted around the place. Some hard cover, so pretty much everything else is hard cover. Height 1 and 2 boulders everywhere. And then we've got these bridges. To keep it simple, we've just said that each rock is 1 inch, so we've got a 1 inch ledge here and then another 1 inch up here, making this 2 inches, this is probably 3 inches. Anybody can walk around underneath these things. And abandon hope, all ye who try to place markers anywhere. I lose the deployment flip, I think, and set up my guys like this. We've got a Canine Remains way out on the left flank, Rafkin, Sebastian with Those Are Not Ours, a nurse, McMorning with Moonlighting, Plastic Surgery and Decaying Aura. Another Canine Remains, my one-winged emissary, he took a bit of a battering, with McMorning's Conflux, and another Canine Remains off to the right flank. My opponent has brought a Malifaux Raptor, Cassandra with Practice Production and Warding Runes, Ramos hiding there at the back, with Under Pressure, Bleeding Edge Tech, and Arcane Reservoir. In front of him, I believe that is a large arachnid. Then we've got an Electric Creation, a Brass Arachnid, and Howard Langston, which appears to be the alt. Miss Fuck You, I think. And she's got Imbued Energies and Kill Switch. Cassandra and Ramos have the decoy cards, unbeknownst to me. And my opponent told me afterwards, there's no real special plan here, he just had a Soulstone left over, and this seemed like as good a way as any to use it. So as I said, this is game 3. I've had 2 pretty hard fights before this, and to be honest with you, I am pretty knackered. What's more, when my opponent introduced himself, his name rang a bell, and I surmised that he's probably quite a good player. So my plan for this game is to play very conservatively and basically try to score some safe points that don't require me to think too hard. So the plan is to try to stay back in my 2 quarters and just make sure I hold them. I have played Ramos before, and I do know that that tends to be a bad idea, because he will summon about 1 billion spiders and run into your quarters and choke them up. But what I have found is that people don't seem to anticipate quite how many Canine Remains McMorning and Sebastian can summon. So I'm not too terribly worried about this. If the spiders come over, I'll try to poison them, and then they can die and turn into my dogs. And Sebastian can have a go at turning 2 corpse markers that a dog can give up and that the emissary can get out with its shards into dogs each turn. So I'm hopeful that I'll be able to score my points from this. Whether or not I manage to break out and start to get into his zones, we'll see. Because I'm going to be waiting for my opponent to come to me a little bit, and I notice Howard Langston staring at me from across the table, I want to play it easy and go for Frame for Murder, and I put it on Sebastian because I figure this guy's likely to know what he's doing, and those who know what they're doing target Sebastian with fire because he's a total monster, and my plan is to put him in danger, try to bait Howard to come charging in and kill him, and then kill Howard with McMorning with a counterpunch. For the second scheme, we're going to go with Search the Ruins. It's not something people normally expect in interference, I think, and I can bluff it relatively easy with Claim Jump, and McMorning and the Emissary have little surprise actions that can turn things into scheme markers or push things and drop scheme markers quite easily. I'm thinking if my opponent does get wind of it, then it will at least draw some of his guys towards the centre and we can play a bit more of my poison game. Let's see how it goes. Turn 1. I send out my Canine Remains as early activations. They go absolutely miles when they start next to the carrying emissary, and I've just popped them up in cover somewhat near the centre line. As I'm making this video, more than a month after I played this game, please bear with me with my recollection of what my opponent's doing, but I think he's moving up the spiders, the electrical creations probably turning into scraps that Ramos can summon many more spiders from it. At the end of the turn, things look like this. Basically, I've moved Rafkin and my Chihuahua up around to the left flank. Together, these two allow me to extend my threat reasonably far with Rafkin's 1 AP charge against poison models. So I'm just covering this, this avenue where he might try to slip by me. but also staying near the centre because we've got a reactivating Howard Langston that's been just wandering around over here. My opponent was leaving him till last, and I didn't know whether or not he was going to go for a turn 1 alpha strike. So one of the early things I did was to move the Carrion Emissary up and drop the shards here just to give McMorning a nice turn 1 hidey hole. So McMorning has been hit up for double poison by the nurse and has climbed up here. He's injectioned the dog that's under the bridge just a tiny bit forwards, making it drop a scheme marker within 2 inches of the line, or the centre line. I'm not sure if it's within 6 inches of the centre. It looks like it potentially could be, but it's right on the outskirts, if so. Just trying to dummy claim jump and see if I can lure something in to try to block it. Sebastian's just moved up and gone defensive. Looks like McMorning is also defensive, just in case. And I think we've got some spiders and Cassandra just kind of shifting this way over to the left flank. Looks like the brass arachnid on the bridge in front of Howard Langston. Again, I think my opponent's trying to block a McMorning charge. Very cagey. So in the upkeep, the shards go away and I get a zombie, again placing it here just to try to stop Langston from coming around this side and funnel him to spend extra inches coming up over this way. The raptor who took to the skies comes down in my back corner, and then on my guys take poison, McMorning pushes a little bit, not really going anywhere, hanging back at maximum threat range for Langston, until he reactivates, of course. Turn 2, pretty much no cards were spent, so my hand's looking pretty good. Looks like we waste some early activations. I probably go with my zombie. The nurse walks off the line and comes into this quadrant. Sebastian's moved up into this quadrant, I think just outside of the centre, and summoned a dog off the zombie. Again, I'm putting him here so that if Langston wants to come in, it's going to be quite tempting to, there's quite a tempting route here to come and get Sebastian. And potentially Rafkin as I put them close together. Come on, sweetening the deal here. And McMorning's lurking off in the wings, ready to come in with the finisher. For the Arcanists, we've got some arachnids shuffling around, and then Cassandra starts to make a break for the left flank, putting up her southern hospitality and dropping a scheme marker so she can use it for her practice production shenanigans. Or claim jump, of course. Not wanting to let this position go to waste, I've got the Chihuahua up, and it's poisoned to both Cassandra and the arachnid, which allows Rafkin to angle to get the charge, and I knock it down to the point where I think it's going to die at the end of the turn of poison, and so I won't be interfered with at the end of this turn, which would be nice. I move my canine remains up, probably somewhere around here, to try to, just try to lure Howard in. I think McMorning then drops a scheme marker, goes defensive, injections the dog forward, dropping another scheme marker over here, and right in Langston's face. Come and get me. More arachnids go. I think Langston probably gets reactivate. I get the Carrion Emissary up here, drop a scheme marker, put down the shards here, blocking the way off to McMorning. Finally, Langston comes in and destroys my canine remains, but the bastard does not take the bait and uses its reactivation to just stroll backwards again out of my easy threat range, picking up my scheme marker as he goes. Come on, you bastard, we're right here! At the end of the turn, we both score for interference, and Ramos scores Leave Your Mark from the practice production and the Malifaux Raptor in my back corner. Turn 3. Again, so little fighting that I pretty much haven't changed my hand very much at all. So as we go into this turn, there's dogs and spiders everywhere, oh my god. I'm trying to space my guys out so the Malifaux Raptor can't come down and stand between multiple models at the same time at the end of the turn. And I think the large arachnid somehow got rid of this scheme marker over here before the end of last turn, so my claim jump ruse is still in the works. Although with these scheme markers here, I think it's probably my opponent's probably on to me by now. So what's happening? Well, dogs are dicking around, I think. Malifaux Raptors flying up into the skies. Ramos has summoned a butt ton of new spiders. Looks like Sebastian's still hanging around. He hasn't gone defensive this time. He's summoned a dog off the zombie. And again, just looking Howard Langston dead in the eyes. I put the Carrion Emissary up here. Definitely within the central 6 inches. I want my shards to be here so that a zombie can come up, which I can turn into a corpse and then a scheme marker at the end of the game. And I think maybe I tried to blast into these guys and probably didn't do much. And where I put these, it looks like it stops Howard Langston from going through, and either that was intentional and I'm now trying to push forward, screw it, or I'm an idiot. I think one of those two is more likely. A little bit later, McMorning's getting a bit fed up of how the slow pace of this, and so he has injectioned the dog to go place a scheme marker over here, leapt off the ledge and gone defensive. I think what I'm trying to do here is take the pressure off the centre, make Howard feel a bit more comfortable about coming in and killing Sebastian, and maybe trying to kind of open up the game a bit, giving me potential to come round into his quarter, maybe turn some things into Flesh Construct or something and start to be a bit more aggressive, potentially. Rafkin's gone to high ground. I don't want her to get interfered with by the spiders too easily, and my main concern is that she's just not a match for Cassandra unsupported, and I don't want to lose her. The Chihuahua is continuing to pressure Cassandra, poisoning her, and I think it's probably dead by now. I think at the end of the turn, the Malifaux Raptor drops in to interfere with my Hound. The large Arachnids got in maybe and interfered with Morning, and Howard has come in and killed the dog. And I think the Brass Arachnid might have snuck into my quarter as well. So basically I don't score this turn for the strategy, which is very sad. The Arcanists might have got Leave Your Mark again this turn with the Practice Production Majig. And we managed to start turn 4, don't have a picture of my hand. Basically, the dog fails to kill the Malifaux Raptor, which was very, very sad. My other dog and the Brass Arachnid are just pillow fighting over here. My third dog has managed to kill one of the Arachnids that was running through this way. Rafkin and Cassandra are playing hide and seek over by the rocks. It looks like I tried to block Cassandra coming through this tunnel, but she's either climbed up or run around me and got up here somehow. My zombie's choking up these steam arachnids. Maybe they kill it, I can't remember. I think it dies at some point anyway. McMorning attacks the large arachnid and I red joker the damage, and suddenly I'm like, oh shit, Frame for Murder's in the pool. He's run this thing right at me. And so I don't take it, damage it a little bit, leaving it on like 2 wounds and a lot of poison, so that it will die at the end of the turn when it takes Sebastian's induction damage. Completely psyched myself out here. So as McMorning was feeling it a little bit from all the poison damage he's been taking from his own nurse over the course of this game, Howard Langston and the large arachnid have no problem in putting him down, which is sad to see. Why wouldn't you attack Sebastian? Final activations are called, and my carrion emissary maybe kills a spider or something and changes my corpse marker zombie into a scheme marker. And final activations is quite important as opposed to final activation, because it means my opponent gets to respond, and sadly this surviving steam arachnid picks up my marker, denying me all 3 points for Search the Ruins. Oh, that hurt. And so as we end, my opponent, I think this turn he scores his 2nd point for Leave Your Mark with Practice Productions again. Mythic Fox gets interference, and I do not, because I think I forgot to kill this thing from its poison. And Cassandra picks up 2 points for Entourage. Completely didn't see that coming for some reason. And so that's it, guys. And final scores. Mythic Fox scored 3 points for interference, 2 points for Undercover Entourage, and 2 points for Leave Your Mark. McMorning scored 1 point for interference, and no points for anything else, making this game a mighty 7-1 to the Arcanists. Great game, but oh my goodness, that was bad. That was so bad. So much for my play conservative, make it a close game plan. So yeah, it turns out my strategy just wasn't really that good. Did manage to keep up with the activations. I think he's only 1 or 2 ahead of me at this ending game point. But focusing on the centre with the Search the Ruins meant that we kind of got into a standoff in which he was able to score his points and I wasn't. Coupled with that, playing defensively meant Howard Langston was never just going to run in and give himself up to McMorning, and so it didn't really work well with what I was trying to do. Cassandra and the Raptor, on the other hand, were phenomenal. They were so good. So hard to stop this Raptor from dropping ski markers and interfering with my guys, and Cassandra is just such a pain to kill. See, she is such a good model. Super rate her. So yeah, in hindsight, I think it would have been Probably better to go aggressive. I mean, the score couldn't have gone much worse for me. Go in hard, try to kill Ramos and prevent the spider, block the spider deluge. Maybe put Frame for Murder on McMorning and force him to deal with me. But yeah, hard game, great game, really, really interesting. It honestly felt reasonably close until right up to the end there, at least for me. And many thanks to my opponent, he was a real gentleman. So after a hard first day's tournamenting, and a pretty disappointing smashing in that final game, I limped back to the hotel and found that my darling wife had brought me some rosemary bread, some of this salt and black pepper crisps that are just so delicious, and a cake. And everything became right with the world. So on that note, I'll leave you, and next time we'll be going into day 2 of the English GT 2017. Take care.